Sucks. Welcome. I'm Rob. And wait, that's not John.
It is
Sorry, I
not
got an
John.
invader. John's gone, and I got somebody who invaded my podcast. What are you doing? Who are you? Why are you here?
Well, I'm Mike. I'm here because I was asked. Maybe I wasn't find. I don't know. No, I'm Mike. I'm from the Corner Pub Sports Podcast. We have our show 8:15 every Friday. You can find it on all the apps to listen to afterwards too. But yeah, no, I'm really excited, and like I was talking with Rob about a little earlier. I'm just happy that I get to get on and trash the Cowboys every week. Or at
Hey,
least
I don't
every
know.
other week. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Let's get into the music. I don't want to hear any of this nonsense. Hey, y'all. Welcome back to Your Team Sucks, where the podcast where football rivals are at their finest and tempers are always flaring, especially from me tonight. My tempers are going to be flaring because I'm your diehard Cowboys fan. And trust me, I've got a lot to say about how America's team is tonight ruining this league.
Yes. And I'm Mike. First of all, the America's team seems a little bit old, but anyway, I am the one and only Eagles fanatic who's here to remind you that the only thing better than a win is seeing the Cowboys lose, which we've seen today in spectacular fashion.
Ugh, horrible.
So we're here to break down the latest games, stir up some good-natured trash talk, as we're already doing, and then make sure that everyone knows just how incredible that the Eagles are.
And I have nothing to back it up this week. It's so annoying. Buckle up because we're diving deep into the rivalries, the stats, which were all against the Cowboys this week, and everything in between. Whether you're wearing silver and blue like I am, or green and white, or black with Eagles stuff written on it like Mike is,
Yep.
we promise you'll get an earful.
Yep. And just remember, it is all in good fun. At the end of the day, we're all just fans of the crazy, amazing game that we're watching. So let's get into it. This is Your Team Sucks.
It sure is. And before I start the cry, Mike, let's tell everybody where they can find us. We're brand new. This is only our second week of this. So check us out on YouTube at Your Team Sucks. Instagram at Your Team. Oh, SUX, by the way, because we're that fancy. Your Team Sucks Pod. And on Facebook at Your Team Your Team Sucks Podcast.
So you can also listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and Amazon for now. Yeah, we need your help. Please rate us when you can listen. The more ratings we get, the better it is for us. And also, please go to the YouTube and follow us there. Now let's get on to the fun stuff.
Yes, the fun stuff, which starts with me crying. Fun for you.
That's
big
right.
WTF for me. I have no idea what happened today. This is ridiculous. And the Eagles don't even play until tomorrow night, so I can't even make fun of you if the Eagles lost as well.
No, the Eagles played on Friday, so it's been a while since they've played. But I'm feeling good about this game coming up. I mean, we'll talk more about it, but yeah, I mean, if we go 2-0 and watch the Cowboys sitting at 1-1, yeah, I'm just going to talk. We're going to get right into it. Last week, I wouldn't say that I was nervous about the Cowboys because the Cowboys cowboy, and they always come out of the gate looking good, and
Yeah.
so
We did last week. We looked awesome last week.
yeah.
Everybody was talking about how the Browns were going to make us look silly. The Browns don't lose at home. The Cowboys can't win on the road. Everybody was picking against us. And this is what happens to the Cowboys every single time. When you're watching Fox or you're watching ESPN and everybody says the Cowboys are going to win, that's when they take a dump and they lose horribly. But go ahead. You can make fun of the Cowboys some more about how old they looked and how you were scared, but not anymore.
No, I mean, I wasn't scared. And there's no reason to ever get scared because the playoffs are eventually coming up, and that's when it always falls apart. So, but it was fantastic watching that game. It was phenomenal. Alvin Kamara looks like he turned back the clock 3 years.
Oh my God. He scored more touchdowns than almost every other team combined at the 1 o'clock hour. He just did nothing but score touchdowns today.
Wild. 4 touchdowns. One was long. Derek Carr. You guys got beat by Derek fucking
Derek
Carr.
Carr, Derek double eyelashes Carr.
Yeah,
I remember when he was on the Raiders and everybody's like, why is he wearing mascara? And he's like, I just have extra eyelashes. That guy, he made us look silly. I
yeah.
can't stand it. I can't stand the fact that we look so ridiculous.
And where was Micah all game? Like
All
Micah
the
was the
whole game.
game wrecker last week.
Oh my God.
6 sacks. They what did they have? Like an interception
They
and 1 sack or something?
24 rushes, 6 sacks, or 24, yeah, rushing the quarterback last time. This week they had only like 3 rushing the quarterback. There was one play early on when he was untouched all the way to the quarterback, and Derek Carr was just like, "Nope," and he just threw it away. That was
Yeah,
the only time Micah Parsons looked like Micah Parsons. I was like, "Oh my god!"
yeah. And then you know what? The other thing, and I got him. Admittedly, I got CD.
Oh, you're frozen. Crap. Hold on.
Yep, I'm here.
I lost you. There you go. You were about
Yep.
to say CD Lamb, and then it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I got CD Lamb on my fantasy team, and yeah, I don't know what happened. He had one long touchdown,
Yeah, they were
and
double teaming him.
yeah, but you know what? They're going to do that all year.
The whole year, they're gonna double team him. Like he's gonna get that. And it's funny. I don't. I feel Dax in pressure games, and I mean Green Bay was an example last year in the playoffs. The playoffs to go when we were supposed to win that also. Same exact situation. Pressure games, man. He just comes up short every single time. Non-pressure games, it's almost
It's almost
like
like the reincarnation of Tony Romo.
almost, yeah, pretty close to it. Pretty close to it. We haven't had a good quarterback since Troy Aikman, and it stinks. And I hate the fact that we now have the highest paid quarterback and the highest paid wide receiver in the league. And when in big
Yeah,
games we can't do anything with it. In big games we can't do anything with it, and it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. It's tough, and especially living in the Philadelphia area, it's even more tough because as tomorrow at work or at school, because I'm a middle school teacher, every kid is going to walk down the hallway telling me Cowboys suck. Every single one, and I'm going to be like,
as they should.
as they should, because it's in Philadelphia. And then I have to take it because it's the truth. They played so bad this week, so
Yeah,
bad. Like CD, I don't know what the deal was.
he had 4 catches, was it, or like
I don't know. Yeah, it wasn't a lot. There was one that was good catch, and then all the rest of them were like short little catches. One catch was great. He stopped the runner or the tackler. I don't safety tried to tackle him. He deked him and then ran and looked great. And then that was it. That was the highlight. They threw to the other wide receivers more than him, and we still in the first half of the game we were doing a good job of going down the field, but then we were trading field goals for touchdowns,
yep.
and you cannot beat a team trading field goals for touchdowns. It just doesn't happen. And that's what
No,
we did in the first half. And then the second, and then at the very end of the first half, we're about to score, interception or fumble. They go down and they score instead. So instead of getting a touchdown at the end of the game or at the end of the first half and possibly a touchdown or a field goal to start the third, we get zero out of it.
that was
And
when it was a close game on that too. That was
yeah,
they would. I mean, close. Is a relative term, but they were
it,
down 15. They had the ball. They were getting the ball to start the second half, and that changed the game.
yeah,
It went from possibly 8 and being a one possession game to down 22 or whatever, and
yeah.
then
And yeah. Alvin Kamara, 20 carries, 115 yards, 3 touchdowns. Derek Carr, 243 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception late in the game when it didn't even matter at that point.
yeah, and then Kamara also had a 50 some yard touchdown reception.
Yeah,
That that was one of the two that Carr threw. So
yeah. Like
um,
the Cowboys just looked like Swiss cheese. They didn't look like they wanted to be there. I hate when teams just, and this happens a lot like coaching high school also. When a team just thinks that they're going to win they just don't even like push it, you know, and it's it constantly you constantly have to remind them like the only reason you won as well as you did last week was because you pushed it so hard.
Yeah, I mean, it aside from the Cowboys, it was an interesting week. If you're in a pick'em league like I am,
Oh yeah.
you're sitting with like a 6-12 record, 7-11, or well, I'm probably overstating a little bit. There's only 16 games, but you're sitting with probably about sitting at about 5-10 right now.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's so many like weird games and weird upsets or whatever, just like bad play and all kinds of stuff like that. Which they changed the playoff system, or not the playoff. They changed the preseason system last year to only 3 preseason games instead of what did they have 4 before,
They
and
had 4, and now they extended
the regular
extended the
season.
regular season for an extra game. Eventually, that's going to go down to 2 preseason games, and it's going to end up being 18 games. That's coming.
But like none of the starters played in any of the preseason games because of it. Because normally, like they sit the first one because they don't want them getting hurt, and then they
Yep.
sit the last one because they don't want them getting hurt right before the season starts.
Right, and
So
that's when they're trying to figure out who they're keeping and who they're cutting. So that
yeah,
only leaves the one game in between.
yeah, and like when you play one game part, like one quarter, one drive, even it's just like one drive, like the starters will play the first drive, and then they're taking their shoulder pads off and they're sitting on the sidelines. Um, they don't get the the preparedness that they need.
Yeah, I
And
mean you've watched the nerds that are analyzing this and whatever it is, and the sports science or whatever it is that's coming in, the statistics, and these guys getting paid even more money than they are. It's the old Buddy Ryan days of sitting out there 2 days and playing
yeah,
until guys puke and so that's
uh-huh.
not happening anymore.
Shoulder pads, helmets the whole time. Yeah,
Yeah, it's they're playing two-hand touch damn near the entire time, and then
yeah,
even the preseason games are real vanilla, and so yeah, they're no one's prepared when it comes out, and
right.
you
And
get
then the first 2 3 weeks of the season are very strange, and you get the 44-10 games, you get 44. Uh, Chargers win 26-3 over the Panthers. I think if you have a
no,
uh,
I mean it's somewhat the Panthers they might as well be a preseason squad all year, and man does Bryce Young look terrible.
he looks bad. What's the they're not called suicide leagues anymore. What are they called now?
Well, there is a suicide league, yeah. You could
All right, but I thought they changed.
they call it like, yeah, I forget what
Yeah,
the
but like just pick whoever's playing the Panthers every week, and you'll go all the way to the end
we're
because
gonna talk more about the suicide leagues in a little bit. We got a segment, and we're gonna get into that a little bit.
yeah. But yeah, Raiders beat the Ravens. Like it's crazy some of the games that have happened. So
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know. We
yeah.
don't.
I mean, I'll tell you what, the Raiders beating the Ravens is interesting. The
Hmm.
Ravens came out, lost to the Chiefs on a Thursday night, so they had plenty of time
Yeah,
to uh, to recover. And they were talking about that's the worst you're ever going to see us play.
right.
This and that. They came out like you thought that they were going to be pissed.
Hmm.
I I would have bet the mortgage that they would have won that game. Not only won the game, but I thought they were going to cover. Like that seemed like an easy bet. But this is why I don't gamble because
And this is
I'll tell people how to spend their money, but I ain't spending my
you're not doing
own.
it. Yeah. So well, I don't know. It's a and luckily you just can just sit back for another day and just wait until tomorrow to see if the 0-1 Falcons are going to do anything against the Eagles, which I don't think they're going to.
Yeah,
Um,
well, at least you're man enough to admit that
yeah,
it's
yeah.
now. But again, looking at the rest of how the rest of this week went, nothing would shock me.
No, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. But all I know is we're still in it for the Super Bowl, so it doesn't matter. The Cowboys are still going to win the Super Bowl. As a Cowboys fan, I'm obligated and required to say that at every conversation that I can get.
Is this the whole "We Them Boys"? This is our year, kind
Yeah,
of
yep. This is
every
yeah,
yeah.
this is our year. We're always going to win the Super Bowl,
Right.
even
Well,
though
usually it's when you get a little later into the year and your team's playing pretty well that you start beating your chest with that. You've seen the chart.
Yeah,
the circular chart.
the
We,
circular
we
chart.
got to break that. Yeah, to
Yeah,
win
that
a
just
couple
keeps going around.
games. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I will say this: I did appreciate. I don't know which one of the brothers it was on Friday night. We're talking about how much they hate the Philadelphia media again after the Eagles game on that Friday night, and that's one.
Sean, I think, got into that a little bit, or no? Was that no? It was Ryan that made his
Yeah.
we'll call it SSCS and keep this a little bit more
Yes. Yeah,
PC.
that's what it was. Yes. But I that's one of the reasons that I can't stand the Eagles is because living in this area, when the Eagles win a game, it's whoever the coach is, whether it's Andy Reid, Chip Kelly, or anybody, he should be the mayor of Philadelphia. He should be governor of Pennsylvania. And then as soon as they lose one game, it's fire him. He's out of here. The quarterback, there's a loss. Quarterback stinks. Fire, get rid of the quarterback. Bring up the backup guy. Whatever the case may be. And I mean, it worked for you one year. You won the Super Bowl in your backup quarterback, but every time something bad happens, immediately you guys are like, this team is the worst. And we do it with the Phillies as well. And I am a Phillies fan, so it's a
Yeah,
little confusing there. Um,
yeah. Well, it's always confusing when you got a Dallas fan that's lived in the the surrounding Philadelphia area his whole life. We'll save that for another time because we got enough to
yeah,
talk about. We could bash the Cowboys for this game, but we'll eventually get into that how that happened on a
I can't
different
wait.
show.
On later on in 2 weeks from now, after the Eagles have lost on Monday to the Falcons and they
Which
lose
you
again next.
earlier, like if we could rewind this back like 2 minutes, you said they were going to win. So I'm confused
You're
now.
very confused.
Yeah,
Look, it's they're more better. The Falcons are the biggest. They're the bestest team, and whatever. Yeah, I'm just hoping that I have something eventually that I can bash the Eagles on because right now 1-0, I got nothing. You guys squeaked out that win again on a bad field against a good team and who lost their quarterback, and you still managed to squeak it out. But whatever.
well, I mean they lost their quarterback on the last play of the game, so let's not think that Jordan Love being out the whole you know
He was out the whole game.
the whole game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
it
whole
was.
game. He was out the whole
Uh,
game.
no, I mean that was an interesting game. I know we talked a little bit about it on our the other podcast that it was just a game where they didn't start out looking good. I mean they had a couple turnovers. The defense kind of held firm for a bit till the offense got going a little bit, and then they put up some good points. And obviously Saquon looks great. Thank you Giants. I'm sure that
Yeah.
you're really excited about that.
Like
Um,
anywhere, go anywhere but inside the division. Go anywhere, Saquon. You go to the 49ers. I don't care. Go wherever, but stay out of the and instead he goes to the Eagles. So yeah, you guys
it's so
got to.
funny. Like you know what? It's sorry to interrupt, but man, it's the polar opposite. That like I don't know how the Cowboys continue to stay relevant and good because it just seems like Jerry Jones continues to screw the pooch on his
Uh
the
huh.
way that he's handling the free agency and how he's doing it. Dak shouldn't be the top paid quarterback. He's the
No.
top paid quarterback because they waited to make him the last one to get paid.
Yeah.
CeeDee Lamb probably could have, they probably could have saved a little bit of money. I mean, CeeDee was going to get paid.
CD was going to
Um,
get paid, and CD. I don't want to say CD's nobody's worth the amount of money that these guys are getting paid, but he's definitely except for this week, he's definitely a top three wide receiver in the league. So
yeah, I mean, I'm not going to argue with that. I mean, him, Tyreek, and Jefferson probably are the three that I would put at the top. And then that next tier, a slight drop, nothing
yeah,
crazy, would be Chase and AJ Brown, and you could probably throw St. Brown in there and
yeah,
a few other guys. But anyway, no, I think that it's just interesting the way that they did it. Now, the Eagles for years didn't invest in running backs,
right.
didn't do it. Just said we don't need to. We got this, and it became a passing league. Everybody kind of knew it, and it took the league years to adjust to what was gone. And then everybody's like, yeah, we don't pay them. And the second that everybody went to that and said we don't pay them, it's the year that the Eagles went back and said, no, we're going to actually invest in a running back. It's like that, it's just.
Ugh, frozen again.
Oh, I'm back now.
You're back. Okay. Yeah.
Always tough on virtual, man.
It is. It is tough on virtual. It's nuts. All right. Let me see.
I'm
You're
even direct
frozen one
connected
more
in on
time. My
my
goodness.
line, but you never know how that works.
All right, let's see. You
You
there?
good now? You got me now?
I got you now. Go ahead. So you were just saying when the Eagles then paid their running backs. Nope.
Yeah. So I mean, it's what I was.
Yep, you're good.
You got me now, or you don't?
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Uh, so the chess and checkers thing is what I was getting at. The
yeah.
Eagles seem to always be playing, chess when everybody else is playing checkers. Sometimes it's only, they've only netted one Super Bowl. They've had a couple other, so it hasn't gotten them completely over the top, but they've remained relevant that whole time doing
I feel like the Cowboys are playing tic tac toe. We're not even up to checkers yet. We're just like
that.
we're playing tic tac toe against a computer that's beating us every single time. Like I want I we're going to be talking about retirees in the future, and I think the Cowboys' next big retiree has to be Jerry Jones because he. And I've been saying this also for years, and it's so frustrating as a fan to to see this or to feel this way. But when he took over the team, he was like, "We're winning a Super Bowl." He gets, Jimmy Johnson in there. They make the trade of a lifetime. They get 11 people for one guy and boom, build this awesome team. They get 3 Super Bowls out of this team. And then I feel like the next thing that Jerry cared about was building Jerry World. He's like, now I need the biggest stadium in the league. I need it's America's team. It has to have the most seats. So then he builds this giant stadium. And now I feel all he cares about is just making sure that stadium is full.
Hmm.
The teams are always good enough that that stadium is going to be full. There's enough hope every year that maybe we can do it. And then halfway through the year, we fall apart, we get it back, and then the playoffs, forget about it. Jerry's like, oh, good, we have a home game. I can charge twice as much for tickets.
Yeah.
And next round, we're not going to have a home game, so I don't even care if we win or not. Like I honestly feel,
You think it's more about the money for him than it is about the winning?
yeah, I
Yeah.
think I think because he won, he has his 3 Super Bowls that he won. He's like, look, I won 3. I don't care. Like I got it. I feel like at this point now he's just more worried about the money. And even like how many years did he had Dak on the what's the contract where they get paid the average salary of all the quarterbacks, the lockout salary type of thing where they don't want to negotiate with them. What is that called? You know it.
The
Yeah.
franchise.
Yeah, thank you. He put him on the franchise, he's like, ah, whatever. And now he's not. I feel there's a very small group of top tier quarterbacks. And I feel he's in the group of the second tier of quarterbacks. He's not in that top tier because, as we saw this week in the pressure games, he's making mistakes. Now, one of the interceptions wasn't his fault today because I forget who the run wide receiver was, but on his break, he slipped and he fell, and the defense was right behind him, and it just went into the defense's hand. If you watched it live, you're like, oh my gosh. But then when you watch it on the replay, you saw that our wide receiver did slip and fall, so it really wasn't his fault. But and we were moving the ball. It wasn't like we weren't. Like he still had 297 yards passing and stuff like that. But we were moving it from the 20 to the 20.
Yeah.
We weren't getting inside the 20, which is what the top tier quarterbacks do. They get inside the 20, they score the touchdowns.
Now, you know what? I mean, we could save this for another segment or for another week maybe. But I want to. You talked about him as a tier two quarterback. I want to know where the tiers start and end.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's to me right now, it's Patrick Mahomes in tier one, and then there's
And
everybody else.
then there's tier 2.
Yeah, I mean, especially after Brady retired, and we'll
Yeah.
probably a good way to move into that segment. But yeah, so let's table that for a different
Yeah, we'll
different
save
week.
that. We'll save that for another week. We'll do that. I like that idea.
Okay.
Before we move on to the retirements and all that stuff, we have our this week in rivalry history, and this week we need like the squiggly lines. You remember? Looking
Yeah.
back in
What's
history,
the Wayne's World squiggly
Wayne's
lines?
World squiggly lines. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this week in rivalry history, we go back to week 2, 2015, when the Eagles played the Cowboys. This is the game. My man Tony Romo breaks his collarbone, and that ended our season right there. Before at week 1, both teams were 1-0, and both teams looked like they might have something to do. The Cowboys win this game 20-10, even with the broken collarbone. Romo broke it pretty early. Last week when we were talking about the week 1 matchup, it was the pickle juice game, and
Yep.
in that game, Troy Aikman got sacked 5 times in the first 3 drives and finally got another concussion, which can go into what we're talking about later with retirements and safety as well. They said it was his 6th concussion in his career was that concussion. That knocked him out for 3 or 4 games because in the 90s, the concussions, they were like, "You're fine, go back in."
Yeah.
Now you get a concussion, they're like, "You're done."
Right.
So it is funny seeing, not funny, but it is nice, I guess, whatever, for the player safety, seeing how they care now compared to how they cared about the players before this. But yeah, so he breaks his collarbone. He's out for like 7 weeks. He comes back with like 3 weeks left in the season, breaks his collarbone again, and it finished the Cowboy season a whopping 4-12. We were coached by Jason Garrett at the time, and
Oh, the clapper.
and they extended his contract after that too. They gave him an extension there
Well, he got a pass because his quarterback got
because
hurt.
his quarterback got hurt, so it's okay. Yeah, the Eagles finished that season 7-9, so both of us played horrible.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about the broken collarbone being the reason that the Cowboy season was ruined. The reason that the Eagle season was ruined is because they had Chip Kelly as a head
Chip
coach.
Kelly, was that his first year?
No, that was his last.
Okay,
His first year was, his arc was interesting. I mean, it went from fast paced offense.
I was going to talk to you about the fast paced
Yeah,
offense, and
fast paced. Nobody could figure out what they were going to do. Ran it fast, did everything. And it worked well. Eventually, they ended up losing. The second year, by the middle of the year, you could see teams starting to kind of figure it out.
right, and also like you can't run that many plays with men this size and this powerful banging into each other over and over again without guys getting tired, hurt, or all of the above. So it took them a year and a half for them to for the other teams to be able to quick change on their substitutions as well, and also slow them down a little bit. And then at that point, Chip was like, "Okay, maybe this fast paced thing isn't working as well as we thought it would." But I remember like the first season, they were getting whatever 30, 40, 50 plays more than the other teams were, like and every other week because they were going so fast.
Well, yeah, I mean, and the other thing about it was that Chip Kelly ran like 7 plays. He
Right.
ran them very fast, but he ran 7 plays.
He ran 7 plays.
So, you could run plays as fast as you want, but once teams started to kind of figure out, hey, these 7 plays are all they do. This is all that they could kind of muster and kind of work out in this fast-paced offense. They're like, okay, we now know what they're going to run, so we'll stop it.
We'll stop. Yeah, we'll be able to stop it because there's only seven options that are going on here, and we can figure it out each time.
And Chip Kelly was too arrogant and too much of a pompous douche to adjust or to even recognize the fact that it happened. To this
Right.
day, the guy still thinks that he's the best coach that's ever
Oh,
lived.
yeah. Oh, 100%. Which, I mean, good for him that he thinks that. But, it is funny once your system gets figured out, you then have to adjust as well, or you're out of the league. And he didn't adjust, and that's why he's out of the league.
Yep,
Um,
exactly.
it was the quarterback that followed up for Tony Romo after he got hurt. He didn't even finish the season for the Cowboys. We went through like 5 quarterbacks that season because we
Wow.
couldn't. We're just every player that was working at ShopRite, we were hoping that they were going to be the next. Who was the quarterback from the Rams who did that?
Kurt Warner. Yep.
Kurt Warner. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
like, who was a quarterback who's working at a grocery store now? Because Kurt Warner did it, so everybody should be able to do it. We were trying everybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, he did not finish the season. And you guys had the very famous Sam Bradford as your quarterback, which was a great season for you guys. Maybe that's why you won 7-9 also.
Well, remember, we traded Nick Foles for Sam Bradford.
Mhm.
Sam Bradford wasn't doing all that great. I mean, he was okay at best. and we traded Nick Foles, who was coming off like that, 17-2 season or something. It was like, oh, Nick Foles, you know, oh, we
Yeah,
traded Nick Foles for Sam Bradford and we got a second back or something like that. I'm like, well,
right.
I mean, I don't love it, but at least we got. Oh no, wait, we gave up the second round pick
Oh wait,
and Nick Foles.
and Nick Foles for Sam Bradford.
Then we were not playing chess. Chip Kelly somehow muscled his way into becoming the GM instead of Howie,
Yeah,
and it took us a little while to rebuild from that. And we've done well since. But yeah, so
I will say Howie has done it very well. I will give you guys that. I wish we had a Howie on our team instead of a Jerry and Son Jones. Yeah, Jerry and Son Jones running the program over there. I wish we had a Howie that was understood what is the best player, best amount of money, all this stuff for them. Because
yeah, you guys. I mean, the free agency that you guys had was not
no,
was really dormant. Like
it was very dormant. We did nothing. All we got back was Zeke, and I was like, we got rid of him for a reason. We get him back, and last week he was okay. This week he did nothing. This week
yeah,
he did absolutely nothing. This week I think he had I don't know. I'm trying to find the box score right now. He had 12 yards, something ridiculously short. I don't
wow,
even know what it was. It was
yeah,
come on. But yeah, we're in your boat where we have no running backs. Like my phone's frozen. What the heck's going on? Anyway, yeah. So yeah, our big pickup was Zeke. I'm like, okay, that's not doing it for us, but whatever.
yeah.
Uh, so all right, yeah. So that was the game, week two game with this week in rivalry. It was a good game for the Cowboys. They got a win out of it, even though Romo got a broken collarbone. But then the rest of the season went downhill for both of us. So
Yep.
on to our main topic. This is kind of like a combo thing here. We were talking a little bit about safety because this week or last week, Tua Tagovailoa,
Yeah, it
uh,
was. Well, technically, I guess it was last week. Thursday is last week.
yeah, he got himself a concussion again, and it's his third concussion in the NFL, and he had one in college as well. And there was a lot of talk this morning all about it because they were
we
talking.
we talked like yeah, we talked about it. Like he should not play again.
Mm-mm. Yeah, the way things are broken down now. Teddy Bruschi was on. I guess he's on ESPN, and they were asking him. His situation was slightly different. He had a stroke, and I guess a pacemaker put in his heart. Where if he got hit the wrong way, the pacemaker could break or offset or something like that and kill him. And he's like, "No, I'm going to go back in." But yeah, Ezekiel at 16 yards. He um, he said this is a conversation that you not only have to have with you and your team, but also you and your family. He said it took a lot of convincing to his wife to say it's I'm going to be fine type of thing. But yeah, the two is 26 years old. He's already had four concussions. One was non-diagnosed because he never talked to anybody, but they were all like, no, it was a concussion.
Right.
And
And one before this one was bad, and
yeah,
this one was bad. His brain's gonna be mush. I mean, you know, I don't I don't have any real skin in the game on what Miami does.
right.
Um,
Neither do I.
but so talking about it just from a pure kind of like
Safety for the
safety
guy.
and human,
Yeah,
like I don't see any reason why he plays. He's probably going to play because
because he's a player. He wants to
yeah,
play. He's
and
26.
it's a lot of money on the table, right? I mean, I don't know if
Yeah,
he gets that guaranteed or how that kind of ends up working, but
yeah. I'm sure whatever the guaranteed money he should still be able to get because it's not like he got a concussion riding a motorcycle and fell off of it. Um, but I'm sure Miami would want to work something out with him, but who knows, money wise. But yeah, like it's a lot of money, and B, when you've played football your entire life, you don't want to stop playing football, and you don't want to stop playing not on your terms. You want to go out like Jason Kelsey. You want to go out up on top. You want to go out when it's your time, not because you got a concussion and your brain's going to be mush if you get another one.
yeah,
Um, but that also brings into the thing about the Guardian caps. And if I mean they look silly as anything, they look like giant bobblehead people when the ones that are wearing it. But if it helps, that maybe there got to be something in between the giant Guardian caps and something that they can do slightly smaller so it doesn't look as big. But I guarantee give it 5 years from now, and the helmets will have evolved immensely to the point that the Guardian caps are probably some version of the Guardian will be a regular helmet at that point in time.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, they've been trying to work on the helmets and making them better equipped to deal with concussions. Obviously, they've taken a lot of the hits away. I mean, they talked about the no fun league, or the the fact that it's becoming a little bit more like flag football, which is kind of, part of it is up and down. Of I I want to see hard hits. Like, I feel like the quarterbacks are coddled and babied too much. You
Yeah,
can't hit them low, you can't hit them high. You see all the time, like, it just ruins the game when somebody finally gets pressure or something like that, and momentum takes them into, touch the guy's face mask, and all of a sudden now they get a new set of downs when your
right.
team's worked that hard to work through it. So that drives me nuts. But at the same time, the game's got to you got to find a way to make it safer too. So
Yeah. I hate the slide rule because the quarterbacks they've learned, they wait to the last possible second to slide so they can get the most yards and everything like that.
and somebody's momentum's already taking them to go get, and then they fall on top of them. It's a penalty, and
And it's
it's
a
yeah,
penalty. Yeah, yeah. That's what's frustrating. Like you can I thought during the Cowboys game today, there was one where Dak slid and the guy tried to jump over him, but he still like bumped into him, and Dax got up and threw his arms out like he hit me, and I'm like, oh my god, if they threw it on that, like it's bad
yeah,
because as a defender, what are you gonna do? You can't, you got to wait for them to slide, but then they're not sliding, so then they just keep getting more yards, and then you finally go to hit them, and that's when they slide. But then you hit them, and then they get a 10-yard, 15-yard penalty. Like you're in a no-win situation as a
yeah. Somebody
defender.
like Lamar Jackson, like, takes a stutter step, like he might be ready to slide, and then he stays up on his feet and trucks you.
Yeah, yeah,
What are you gonna like? It's Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, a defensive end size.
yeah, yeah. He's
He's
huge.
bigger than linebackers, or
Uh-huh.
so
Yeah, it is tough, but I mean, I understand because of the safety of it, but at the same time, it does put the defense in a very, very impossible position.
to catch
Um,
22 for sure.
it is a catch 22. So, talking about concussions and if Tua retires or not. So we'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks if he decides if he's going to retire or not. I hope for his safety to keep his head from his brain from becoming mush that he does retire. But I know as a football player, that's the last thing that you want to do is retire. So
And as a
I'm
football fan, selfishly, it'd be great if he didn't retire, because
yeah,
Miami's got a pretty decent team, and that offense is, Waddle and Hill and Shane, and like they seem like they'd be a fun team. But
yeah, yeah. And who's their you probably know better than I do who the backup quarterback is who's starting now.
um, honestly, I don't know. I don't
Okay,
remember.
but yeah, I'm sure he's no Tua. That's for sure.
No, it doesn't
Um,
seem like it.
yeah, he would be a backup for a reason. So, all right, and they must be on. I don't know. I don't see them in the list at all. Did they have off this week? They had
Well, no, they played Thursday.
Oh, they played on Thursday. That's when they got
That's
hurt.
it.
Was on
That's when he
Thursday.
got hurt.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. So, yeah. So that being said, some people who retired after the 2023 season. I have a list of a couple big names and also one guy from my team who have his jersey because I thought it was awesome. But and he retired because of injury as well. Leighton Vander Esch from the Cowboys retired on March 18th, 2024. Leighton Vander Esch ended a noteworthy 6-year NFL career with the Dallas Cowboys. Drafted first round of the 2018 NFL Draft, Vander Esch earned Pro Bowl and second all-team honors during his rookie season. Known for his impressive tackling and versatility, recorded 469 career tackles, 3.5 sacks, and 3 interceptions. despite battling injuries. He like his neck was the mush that Tua's brain's about to be. So he was out all last season with a neck injury, and then finally then just retired this year. He couldn't. It wasn't healing as well as he had hoped, and didn't want to be concussed or in a coma for that matter, or paralyzed. That's the word, paralyzed because of his neck and back being destroyed. Um, the
Yeah,
Cowboys.
yeah. No, I mean, you know what? I respect Vander Esch. You know, he was that prototypical linebacker that just run across the field. You always knew it was him because he had that, that big pad
Uh
behind
huh.
his neck that,
Yep.
obviously to protect that. He was part of that really good linebacker, you know, type. It was part of the linebackers that the Cowboys always had, and they continue to have with Micah. That
Yeah.
I honestly, maybe it's the fact that there was one just like him before.
Yeah. Sean Lee right before him.
Sean Lee, right? Yeah. So they've always had those types of guys. I thought that his career was a lot longer than 6 years.
Yeah, because it was interesting. Sean Lee had the same situation where he was out on an injury as well. He from Penn State. He same thing. Very short amount of time did we have both of them in there at the same time because they were both wreckers like Micah Parsons is, and if both of them would have been able to stay healthy, it would have been really crazy being able to see the two of them going at the same time. And then even with now, if Van Der Esch was able to play last
With
year
Micah,
with
yeah.
Micah, oh my gosh, it would have been great. But
Now he did play with Micah his rookie year. I personally think that Micah's a step above those two guys.
oh yeah, I
No disrespect to them. I mean,
no
Mike is a top five defender,
yeah
maybe
no,
top three. I don't know. With Donald even, we probably
yeah
took an extra step up. We'll talk about him next.
yeah.
So,
So yeah, so it's talking about Aaron Donald. He retired. He dominated the NFL for a decade. This guy, you had to know where he was. Like he's the one. I love when the quarterback is just like calling out your number.
yep.
Like there he is. He's over there. Next play. He's over there. Next play. He's back there. Know where he is at all times. He retired on March 15th, 2024, leaving behind a legacy as one of the greatest defensive players ever. Playing exclusively for the Rams, both in St. Louis and LA, Donald's career was studded with accolades, including 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards and a crucial role in the Rams Super Bowl LVI 56 victory. Known for his explosive speed and power, his relentless playing style redefined the defensive tackle position. Donald's influence on the field, combined with his numerous first team All Pro selections, cemented his status as a gridiron legend. Yeah, he was a beast. He was huge.
Well,
He,
I mean, think about it. I mean, he wrecked the game and was a presence in the backfield as a tackle. Tackles are
yes.
not typically the ones that it's usually the defensive ends that are. He did it as a tackle, and
Yeah.
you know, uh, amazing player. I don't know what else you can say about it. I love the fact that he, after he retired, just talked all about like how much he hated playing against the Eagles. It's like
Yeah.
Jason Kelsey. Every damn time we played against him, he ruined it. Like they doubled me, and every once in a while I'd have a chance to they knew where I was, and Jason's skinny little ass would be coming around, and he'd always know where I was. He'd always be able to chip me, make sure to tell me, leave me alone, leave me alone. So it was great to hear. It's like, and then the one time that I did have it, like I couldn't get home or something. He's just like, oh, they drove me nuts. So that was pretty good.
It is cool when the person's whole speech is all about how much he hated playing against one team, which was awesome. So, and
Yeah.
especially when it's your team, not mine,
Yep.
but your team. Um, and another one, the other one that I want to talk about, some guy named Matt Ryan. He retired in 2024. We could have sworn he retired earlier than that, but he retired in 2024, concluded his illustrious 15 season NFL career, predominantly with the Falcons, known as Matty Ice for his cool demeanor under pressure. I like listening
Except, yeah.
to the Jason and Travis Kelsey's
And
podcast.
New Heights, yeah,
Yeah, New Heights. Travis always says it that way. Matty Ice.
yeah.
From under pressure. Ryan said franchise records aplenty, including most passing yards and touchdowns. His MVP winning 2016 season, capped with Super Bowl 51 appearance, remains a highlight. He also spent a season with the Indianapolis Colts before hanging up his cleats. Renowned for his pinpoint accuracy and leadership, Ryan now serves as a football analyst with CBS, leaving behind a legacy of perseverance and excellence. So, yeah, I thought after you said it, you can go ahead and say the joke. I don't want to ruin it. It's your joke.
Yeah, no, I mean, I thought he retired after the Super Bowl. Not really, but I
Mm,
think he played one more year with Atlanta after that.
yeah,
It was a lackluster year. Definitely had that Super Bowl hangover type feel
yeah, 100%.
to it. And then there was the year where, the years where the quarterback Andrew Luck for the Colts retired, and the Colts didn't draft anybody and continually just tried to chase, veterans
Yeah.
and hoping that the veterans were going to keep them relevant. There was the trade for Carson Wentz. There was the
Uh-huh.
Philip Rivers year, and then there was the Matt Ryan year. So pretty interesting how and none of them panned out.
Nope.
All of them they were all clearly washed up. The teams knew when to cut bait on their players, and
Yeah.
Indianapolis just was chasing that.
They were like, no, we'll take them. It's okay. Send them over here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 So and yeah, that was the end of it, right? That was his last year was with the
Yep.
Colts,
Well,
and then,
yeah, he finished up with the Colts. Yep. That's
so
it. So there we go. So Matty Ryan also retired. So you got a couple, two guys.
well, yeah. I mean, technically, Nick Foles retired too.
Yeah.
That wasn't one of the ones that we brought up, but obviously, Nick Foles had an interesting career for sure.
He sure did.
He We talked a little bit about that Chip Kelly year, the 17 touchdowns, 2 interceptions that kind of made him a little bit of a folklore hero for the Eagles. Got traded for Sam Bradford. Chip Kelly seemingly made a bonehead move there, but eventually he came back home. Again, was a backup quarterback. Carson Wentz was the man at the time, putting together an MVP season that year.
Yeah.
And they were playing against the Rams, and all of a sudden Wentz gets hurt, and we're like, "This is our chance at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It's
There it
it's
goes.
over. It's ruined."
Over.
And it didn't look good. Foles didn't look great in the regular season. It didn't. It wasn't looking great. The Eagles, this was late enough in the season, and they built up enough of a
Cushion.
lead, a cushion,
Yeah.
to where they still ended up with the number one seed. So they got that first round bye, and then they played against the Falcons to win that first game, and it was ugly. It
Yeah.
was a dogfight. It was a Julio Jones catches the ball, and the rule where you could push the guy out of bounds
Mm-hmm.
came into play, and then from there, Foles had a fantastic game against Minnesota, and then outdueled Brady
Yeah.
to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So
I also think, prove me wrong, but I feel like they also dumbed down the playbook.
Well, yeah, I mean, the playbook was definitely much different for Foles because the whole there was the whole read option, and Wentz was a lot more athletic and was more of a run pass threat. So when it got to Foles,
Right.
they made
He was.
they made it more of a traditional pass
Yeah.
type offense. Look, Foles had 7 of the best quarters of
Yeah.
almost in the history of the NFL.
Yeah. And
And
all in the playoffs, which is when you want to have it.
right, we had the 17-2 game stretch, and then that's those 7 quarters. Aside from that, he was barely mediocre the rest of the time
Yeah.
that he played. But that's all that he needed to cement his legacy.
And it was interesting because then he gets traded and got a lot of money wherever he went. I forget where he went after that.
He might. I think. Did he spend any time? No. Was he the Colts?
Did he go?
Jacksonville, maybe.
Maybe Jacksonville. Wherever he went, he got paid, which was awesome.
Jacksonville, I think it was, and then I think Minshew took over for him, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
Yeah. But it was like he got paid for his Super Bowl performance. And it was another one of those where, like, you got to look at the guy's total package, and like you said, he had 7 great quarters, which is all he needed to win a Super Bowl. But if you look at the whole package, the years before, he wasn't that good. He was okay, but he wasn't as good as he was for those 7 quarters. And then Jacksonville gave him a boatload of money, and he went there, which I would too. I would take the money.
And you have to also remember the fact that the Eagles couldn't keep him because
Right.
they still had Carson Wentz, and
They had
they
Carson
couldn't
Wentz.
have that. They couldn't have that quarterback controversy. So
Yeah, and they weren't going to pay a backup all that money, and especially in Philly, the controversy in Philly. Oh my God! As soon as Carson Wentz throws one into the grass, you people in the stands are going to be like, "We want Foles back." So
yeah,
they had to get rid of him just to not to save face, but just to avoid that whole situation. Um, so and then but it is interesting because he could walk into any bar in Philadelphia.
even Rob would buy him a drink.
I would even buy him, and he will not have to buy a beer. He could walk in and be like, "I heard the wings are good in here," and have 40 plates of wings in front of him in a heartbeat.
Yep,
So if he moves back, if he wants to eat and drink for free for the rest of his life, he moves back to Philly, and he won't have to pay for a red cent of anything for the rest of his life.
yep,
And rightfully so. I mean, he did quarterback you guys to your only Super Bowl, so of course you're going to do that for him.
yeah,
But yeah, he was great. Um,
yeah. And we got two other ones.
2 other ones, yeah.
Yeah, it was a
Some
tough
guy I never
year.
heard of. Yeah,
Well, I mean, the first one, I'm sure you've heard of both of them because they wreaked havoc on the Cowboys for years. Fletcher
they
Cox,
did. Yeah, man.
Army crawl after
Uh,
every sack. Another defensive tackle
yeah,
that was phenomenal. I remember the day that he got drafted. I think it was like Mississippi State or Ole Miss or something like that. And I remember being so excited because it was one of the few times that I felt that the Eagles got the right guy.
they got
They
the
might
right
have
guy at the
traded up
right
for
time.
him or
Yeah,
something. And I was like, no, this guy's going to be a stud. He's going to be good. He had all the makings of, you know, now obviously he was even better than we could even imagine. So,
yeah.
doing a real quick, you know, credit where it's due. We got Wikipedia here. Born in 1990, defensive tackle. We talked about that. Played 12 seasons. Mississippi State, like I said. First round pick. I think he was somewhere around 11. They had the Super Bowl. Selected the Pro Bowl 6 times. Named an All Pro 4 times. So an All Pro defensive tackle 4 times. Yeah. So
He'll
you know,
be in the Eagles Hall of Fame as soon as he's possible.
yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know how many numbers they could retire, but if his number gets retired, that's
Yeah.
it's worthy. Yeah, again, the Army crawl,
Uh-huh.
just a staple in that defense, a veteran leadership that you know carried over to the next
Yeah.
group of
Next
tackles.
generation. Yeah.
Uh,
And he, as well as the other guy that retired, I think they both thought last year was going to be they were going back to the Super Bowl again. So
sure.
they both came back for one more year. And then after, the season didn't turn out the way you guys expected it to, they were like, we can't keep doing this anymore. And I thought it was cool that they went out together. They went out at the same time.
Yep.
Because were they the last two from the Super Bowl team?
Oh no,
Oh,
there's another guy that's still on there.
okay.
That came back for another year. That's probably maybe he's going to retire this year, but they were even saying Brandon Graham,
Okay.
the
Okay.
strip
Yeah.
sack. I mean, how could you forget the guy that
Yeah. 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 So yeah, so he was a beast. He was awesome. Um,
Yeah, and then
Hall of
the
Fame
the
category.
the the other guy is the guy that could basically run for mayor and
Oh my
basically do
gosh.
no wrong with
He could run for mayor in
anything.
3, 4, maybe even 5 different towns in Philadelphia.
He could
And
probably run for mayor in Kansas City. They probably
he
mistake him
could,
for his brother.
in Ohio, he could run in
Yeah, the
Cleveland
Cincinnati
Heights in
area.
Cincinnati area. Yeah.
Yeah, so Jason Kelsey retired. He was a little bit older. Born in '87. Also had the greatest Super Bowl speech ever.
Oh my god. Like, it's funny because me being a Cowboys fan, like, I just know that I didn't like the Eagles as a whole. But then at the Super Bowl parade when he was wearing the Mummers uniform. I was like, this dude gets it. Like he knows Philly, which is what you want. You want the guys to come in and appreciate Philly. I feel
Yes,
like Bryce Harper is the same way. Like
for sure.
constantly, Fanatic shoes, Fanatic sliding gloves, the Fanatic headband. Um, loves to be a part of the town, loves to be a part of the city. I was telling one of my coworkers the other day, you know, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, before the Phillies went on this great run last year to get as far as they did, that I felt so bad for him because he left Washington the year after he leaves Washington, they win the World Series.
Yeah,
So he leaves right before they win the World Series. Then he comes here, and for the first 2 years maybe that he was here, we were horrible. We couldn't fight our way out of a paper bag. We were so bad. And I'm like, this guy left there to come here, talking all kinds of stuff about how much he loves Philly and stuff, and we're not giving him back what he needs, what he deserves
yeah,
because he loves the city. He loves being a part of this. He signed that huge contracts. He's like, I want to retire Philly, blah blah blah, all this stuff.
yeah, yeah. A
And
huge contract that somehow is considered team friendly.
yeah, yeah,
Which it is, and it kind of almost is as it's actually aging pretty well.
yeah. It is aging very well, which is nice. But yeah. So then then we win it, and he's the same as Kelsey, where if the Phillies win the Super Bowl or win the World Series, I'm sure he would get a different Mummers outfit that would so that he could be like, look, I'm not going to use the same one, but I'm
There's
Philly
yeah, he's
also.
got something. He's got something up his sleeve for
He's
sure.
definitely got something up his sleeve. So, yeah. So Jason Kelsey, amazing. I mean, you can
13 years center. I mean,
as a center,
greatest center ever,
yeah,
arguably.
and the tush push the
The
past
tush push.
year, the two
Yes.
years of the tush push on a center, like you got 12 guys who are falling on top of you every single time you do the tush push. You
And
got
he's a little guy. He
yeah,
was not the biggest guy. He was just athletic and fast. And sixth round pick, um, six time, 7-time Pro Bowler, 6-time All Pro selection. Um, says often regarded as one of the greatest centers in NFL history. Again, arguably could be
arguably the
the
best.
greatest.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
First bout, both of those guys. That's that's the year that I'm going to Canton.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
So
like
is it
they're gonna get inducted both in the same year, right? They
same year?
retired
They
the same
retire
year.
at the same time. Yeah. It's what is it, 5 years, I think, after retirement? Or is
Yeah,
it yeah, so get your plane ticket ready, your bus ticket. Canton, Ohio is not that far. Get your bus ticket now set up for 5 years from now because both of those guys are going at the
yeah.
same
I wonder if the hotels are accepting reservations
five
yet.
years. I want a reservation for 2029, please.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whenever the Hall of Fame is, I don't know.
I
You
don't
gotta
know
tell me. Yeah,
what month do they do the Hall of Fame? Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, so there's some retirements early on in the season. We don't have a lot really to go off of yet for what's going on this season.
All you could say is expect unexpected.
Yeah,
It's been wild,
it has been wild so far. It
for
definitely
sure.
has been wild so far. So I was hoping we could end each show with an award of some sort that we could give out, the Your Team Sucks award. Um,
Yeah.
I had an idea for one. If you have something or you want to just piggyback off of mine,
No,
uh,
I got mine.
you
Well,
got
we
yours?
could talk.
Okay,
Yeah, you want me to
perfect.
start? I'll start with
Yeah,
mine,
you
and
can
then
go
you
first.
can
Go with yours. Yeah.
So mine is the Kansas City, or not the Cincinnati Bengals.
Okay.
Um, they um, they ruined my suicide pool last week, so
So you're out already.
so I'm out already. Thank you for your donation. And it's playing against New England. They're at
Yeah.
home. They have no
Yeah.
business losing that game.
Nope.
Um, it makes me wonder. And they got it wasn't even that close. They got dominated.
Yeah.
It was a boring shit game that they had.
Yeah.
And Barrow, I'm wondering about Barrow. Um,
Yeah. Because
is Barrow like he's the number one pick? This and that made a Super Bowl. Congratulations for that. Next year he came back. He was okay, is he Jalen Hurts? Is he better than Jalen Hurts? Is he worse?
Right.
Like I don't. When you were talking about the tiers of quarterback, I don't see him as a top tier quarterback.
No.
Everybody talks about him as this darling, but what's he done?
Yeah. I mean, and then they lost this week also by 1 point to the Chiefs.
Yeah, that was an interesting game too. I mean, and I was even going to be more pissed off if they won that game.
If
I
they
was like,
won, yeah.
these MFers come back and beat the Chiefs. They played
They
them
lose
tight
to a bad team and then they beat the Chiefs. Yeah, no.
in Kansas City, mind you.
Right.
Um, it was a little. It was a legit call, but it was an interesting. They had like a 4th and 10 or something like that play where the guy went up to make a play on the ball, but he went over the top of the Chiefs receiver that had position on it, and got the call, and that's what
Right.
set up the game winning field goal.
Yeah. It's
Uh,
always and I feel like if you need yards, just send somebody on a go route and just throw it high in the air. Because if you don't catch
yeah,
it, you're gonna get the flag, I feel.
yeah. Now this one was a little bit different. This was like they did throw it up for grabs. It
Okay.
wasn't a go route. This is where the guy was coming back. They were converging on the guy that was coming back to the ball, and the guy jumped over the
Okay.
top of him, trying to knock the ball down. But clearly, he got there too early, and
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So no, I mean, your team sucks. Is the Cincinnati Bengals for screwing the pooch last week and ruining my suicide pick, and just maybe being, dare I say, a little bit overrated as a team
Yeah.
the last couple of years, at
Yeah.
least the
Yeah.
past few years.
And like last year, I feel like their record was not good at all last year too, and they were like expected to be way better, and they weren't. So, yeah, my pick is after week one, goes to Aaron Rodgers because he managed to play the whole game for the Jets, and they still lost.
Yeah,
So, yeah, so that was pretty funny because it's like,
yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of over Aaron Rodgers. I think that
yeah,
I think that the game may have passed them by a little bit. They granted won this week, but
they won
they beat
this week
the
over
bad
the
Tennessee
Titans.
team.
Yeah, yeah,
And
but
yeah, they don't look good.
no, no,
But everybody, everybody's Super Bowl darling. Last
uh
year,
huh,
this year, well, no, Rodgers is back. They're gonna be
right,
better. And I'm
right,
like, guys that miss a whole year,
mm-hmm.
usually, especially at his
At
older
his
age,
age too, yeah,
they don't usually bounce back really well. And
no,
you know, I don't know. Rodgers is
Frozen. You are you
no,
there?
no. I was gonna say, yeah, he was kind of a weird guy. Rodgers is kind of a weird guy.
Yeah, Rogers is definitely a weird guy. The I forget his brother was on some TV game show, whatever, and there was a lot of talk about how they don't talk and this and that and whatever. So yeah, whatever. But Aaron's definitely a weird guy. I think he's one of those flat earthers. Also, I don't want to definitely say that, but he definitely has some interesting points of view on life and stuff. So, but
Yeah,
whatever. So yeah, so that's our award for the best worst of the week.
yeah. Sometimes it might be the best of the week. It might be the worst of the week. I don't know. It'll
I don't
be.
know. It could
We're
be
just gonna fly by the seat of our pants and figure something out.
whatever jumps out at us. I think next time mine's going to be about the Cowboys loss to the Saints. That was horrible. But anyway, so I think that's pretty much the end of our show for this week.
Yeah.
Um, don't forget, like, subscribe, comment down below, do all that fun stuff. Check us out everywhere we are on. Please write a review. You'll see Mike every Friday night on Corner Pub Sports. We did get a big plug on there this Friday because Mike didn't know what day we were on. He
I
kept
knew. I just got.
he got
I'm
confused
so
between
used to a Friday podcast.
Friday. Yeah, no, I get it. It was funny that I'm teasing you about it. They're like,
Yeah,
we're on Friday. You're like, yeah, no, oh, Sunday. Yeah. So, but it was good because it did make for a longer segment for us. So that was excellent. So
absolutely. Yeah, it was
check out
almost like
Mike.
it was on purpose. It
Yeah.
wasn't. uh,
Next week you have to do it on purpose. You have to do something on purpose to make a good segment. But yeah, so I think we're going to be coming at you every other week because
yeah, I mean, we'll see how it works out. I mean, if
yeah,
depending on how things go, maybe I could try and swing every week. But
I
family things
understand.
come into play, and we'll see what works. But if I could have one more minute for a shameless plug, not for myself, but for
Go for it.
our buddy. Oh, I'll wait.
I hear you. Do you hear me?
Okay, there we go. Yeah,
Yeah.
so a shameless plug for our that's coming out with a book. I think it's October
Oh,
4th.
yeah.
No One Likes Us, We Do Care, written by our Sean Selby, who is the pretty much the Mr. Everything for the Corner Pub Sports team. Obviously a co-host and kind of more than that, really kind of holds us the glue that holds us together. He did a thing. He wrote a book. Super excited about it. It's all about the life of a Philadelphia sports fan, um, and it's not easy. It's not easy being a Philadelphia sports fan.
No, no, not
And
even,
he
not a little bit.
yeah, and he gets into that. We've had a lot more heartbreaks than we've had successes, and
Yeah.
you know, there's the whole "no one likes us, we don't care" type attitude. But Sean's like, no, I think we do,
Yeah.
and that's why he wrote the book.
Yeah.
I haven't
Because,
read the book, but that's just kind of my.
yeah. I
I'm
mean,
excited.
yeah. I mean, we do want to win. I'm not saying we don't want to win. We don't root for the team just to get upset every year that, oh, next year we'll get it. Like, no, like you do like to feel that success. And even recently with the Phillies, it's been good because this season, I mean, the first half of the season was epic, and they've been hanging on here in the second half of the season. But
Yeah, they seem like they're getting their mojo back,
yeah,
especially with getting some health and stuff like that. So yeah,
yeah, but it's like it is fun going to the games and capacity crowd. Eagles are always sold out. But it's fun going into the stadiums where you have all these people. 45,000 for the Phillies, 70,000, 69,218 or whatever it is for the Eagles.
or
Uh,
whatever it is. Like you didn't pull like a
but
218 exact number out, and you're like
I just
somewhere around there.
I just remember that it was a very odd number. So I'm close to it. I'm in the
Yeah,
ballpark, but it's definitely not a just around 68,000. I remember reading it and being like, that's so silly that it's a whatever 812 or 14 or whatever it is at the end. They're
yeah.
like,
Speaking of the Phils, real fast, we went to the game yesterday. We had a corner pub sports outing and stuff like that. Rob, it's a shame you weren't able to make it, but
I know,
it
yeah.
was awesome. It
I
was
saw the
against the
pictures.
Mets.
Yeah, and beating the Mets is always fun too. I can't stand the Mets. So
They took two sections over right next to us.
yeah.
It was
I,
something else.
I saw the pictures where the security guard was up
It was staring at us. So it
yelling
was
at you
great.
guys for yelling at the Mets fans. The
Yeah,
one
no,
year,
it's Sean's uncle flipped off the Mets fans, and then the, the, the guy looked at him and said, "What? He started it." I was like, "Oh my god!" It
the
was
one
great.
one year I'm going to Phillies game and there's two Mets fans right in front of us, and who was their third baseman?
David Wright.
No, what was the one like Chipper? No, Chipper Jones. I guess it was David Wright. It must have
Yeah,
been David. Yeah, David Wright. So the kid was wearing a David Wright jersey. And I say kid like I was a kid also. Like we were both like in our 20s or whatever. And I wasn't saying anything directly to him, but I kept saying to my friend who was sitting next to him, like, "Oh, thank goodness I'm not a Mets fan, man. They're really stinking it up right now." And David Wright struck out. I was like, "Oh my god, that guy's the worst. I would never buy a David Wright jersey or all this stuff." Like, not to him, but he could definitely hear me. I could see him getting angrier and angrier. It was really,
yeah.
really funny. So
There's there's been so many games with the Mets. The Mets Phillies rivalry is legit.
yeah,
That's always a fun game to go to, especially it's the worst if you lose, but if the
right.
Phillies win a game, it's the best. And just watching the Mets fans knowing with their heads down and their tails between their legs
Yep.
after because they are the most obnoxious
Oh,
fan base.
100%. And I mean, they come. They're not hiding that they're Mets fans
Nope,
either.
they come loud and proud,
Loud and
and
proud.
and they then all of a sudden they start getting quiet, and you know that they got a long
Yep.
ride
A
home.
long ride home, a long walk back through the parking lot because everybody's, oh, Mets suck,
Yeah,
whatever, the whole way there.
yeah, and that game
And,
started out 4-0, and they were chirping a
oh, I bet they
ton.
were, especially after two games before when they won 10-0.
Yeah,
It was like, oh man. So yeah, that's awesome. You got the comeback win there. You got to really lay into them, let them know that they lost, and let them think about it on the whole ride home. So
yeah.
Yep. So that's pretty much it. So for all of us here at Your Team Sucks, we just want to let you know that your team sucks.
Yes, especially if you're a Cowboys fan.
Especially this week as a Cowboys fan. Ugh.
Yep.
All
All
right.
right, Rob. Well,